What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction, and it is Friday, July 24th. Man, oh man. You know, what's wild to me is the fact that we are literally about to enter in the fourth quarter of 2020. And I'm reporting live from my bed. Um, I one of the things that I consistently see from people who run their own business, people who are working from home in general, is, and this is kind of like an age-old thing, but even more, and I find it very interesting, is the fact that people are still struggling with the work-life balance, even when the majority of their time is at home. And, that makes sense. To me, it makes sense. Um, to me, it makes sense for the fact that when you're at home, and this is one of the reasons why I tried to refrain from working from home in general, because when you're at home, it is so, you have to set boundaries for yourself and for the people around you, because if not, you're going to be constantly, um, you know, all over the place, or feeling like I was reading this study and it was showing that, a good chunk of people who are working from home actually work more now that they're at home, and I feel like that's counter what we should be doing right now, but I do realize that there is work to be done, um, which is a lot of the premise of this particular podcast. So I wanted to dive into a couple of things. Ooh, payment. Yeah, just got me an order. And if you want to order some CBD, you can definitely order that via my website, dabtroll.com/shop. Because we're gonna dive into some things today. I'll give you a couple. I like looking through a couple of things, and I feel like there's a connection to everything that I look at. So what we're gonna talk about today is we're gonna talk about the manufacturing Texas Consumable Hemp products, because that is some BS. Um, we're going to talk about the federal, the stimulus check. I want to get into that. Um, the earliest evidence of humans in America, and Kanye West's whole situation that's going on with that, and my views on that. Also, Sony's wearable air conditioner was pretty interesting. I gave a part of that. And then this St. Louis couple who waves gun at protesters face charges. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get all up in that. So, the main thing that I want to get into, which is the main reason why I wanted to do this particular podcast, is looking at the Texas Normal website, the National Organization for Reform of Marijuana Laws. So, the Texas Department of State Health Service, DSHS, has released the final rules that will govern the manufacture of consumable hemp products in Texas. Now, these rules go in effect August 2nd. Now, the biggest thing to note is that the rules explicitly prohibit the manufacture, processing, distribution, or retail sale of consumable hemp products for smoking. Now, this is so retarded because this is literally pinpointing vape and pre-rolls. Now, the great thing is the fact that, we're still able to sell um, It does not include loose flower. So that means that, people can buy, the CBD flower, the buds, but we can't say it's for smoking purposes, which is fucking retarded. Look, a lot of people, including myself, like, I smoke the CBD because of the quick relief. It's really, I understand, like, this, there's certain rules as far as Texas rules, like, you're in the hemp game in general. Now, you feel like, oh, if I ban smokable hemp, then, people, that's supposed to, I don't know, like, because for me, I feel like they're doing that because because THC is illegal. Now, this is so retarded because it's just like me personally, when I'm buying THC from like California or anything like that, I'm getting the buds. I do get pre rolls every now and then, but like the whole buying of a pre roll, I didn't really start even doing a lot of that until I really got into CBD, and to me, it's so retarded. So, um, now, within this bill requires consumable hemp products license before engaging in manufacturing, processing, or distributing consumable hemp and hemp derived products. Now, these licenses are valid for 1 year and will cost $250 per facility. Um, Now, the way that they're going about this, I feel like, especially in the middle of a freaking pandemic, honestly, this should have been, I wouldn't say like the last on the list, but I feel like there wasn't, how can you properly focus on, um, how can you properly focus on what you need to focus on to give this bill a fair shot when your focus is on a bunch of other things? Like, it literally doesn't make, it's so, it's, a part of me is just all like, well, you should be grateful that, you could still at least sell, CBD products in general and the flower. Because I mean, with that flower, I'm able to do, several different things that doesn't require you smoking it, but as a smoker, I can definitely tell you, like, this is grade A bullcrap. And then the fact that they're just all like, oh yeah, and by the way, this goes into effect this August, like less than 2 weeks from now, August. Like, to me, I feel like a lot of these things should have just been postponed till the new year, honestly. Like, a lot of this though, you have people who are trying to make a living, and a part of it, this is just theory, this is just theory. um I don't want to say, okay, I'm gonna just say that, I'm gonna go on a whim. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Honestly, I really think that this particular bill, and maybe it's because there's this underlining layer of, yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that because I don't want to be that guy that's sitting up there like everything's racist, but I can't help but feel like there's a layer, um, to where this, who this is targeting. I really do. I really think that there's a specific demographic that this bill was put in place to hurt, and like things like this really make me question because I'm not over or above fighting for what I believe in. I really am not. But at some point, sometimes we like to go to the fight when sometimes there's not a need to fight. You know, I am hopeful for a lot of the things that are going on in Texas and different things like that. I'm very hopeful that things pass that help build the economy more and different things like that, and equality and all that BS. But sometimes I feel like, I know with me, I'm just all like, should I maybe just move to a place where everything is fully legal? You know, I don't have a physical facility. So everything that I do is remotely, which is a great thing for me personally, at least right now. There's a lot of stuff that I don't have to worry about not having a physical storefront, especially during this time. Like, shit, that would fucking suck. So, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. I personally think that Texas is tripping. Texas doesn't want that smoke, literally. So hey, whatever. But I think that when it comes to these certain laws, because it is stressful when you're trying to run a business, when you're trying to find relief that isn't, the normal, no pun intended, shout out to them. Um, that's quote unquote alternate, it's quote unquote alternate medicine. It's really, it's silly. It's so silly. I may be just a little bit feeling salty because I have specialty pre-rolls, blended pre-rolls, and I personally like that. That really sucks. It really made me think of, well, maybe I need to go ahead and take what I'm doing elsewhere. Like, I'm like, there's certain restrictions that I'm just all like, why am I even dealing with this? So it just made me think, and me, I've been thinking just a lot, like a lot in general, especially with, me turning 30 next year, and just this year, just everything that I've learned in general. That's why certain things pop up, So, I mean, that's what I wanted to say um, in regards to this particular law. Like, it's retarded. But next, I wanted to get into the unemployment, not just the unemployment, but as far as the stimulus check. So, on Forbes, they did say that, the Senate agreed as far as another round of stimulus checks, as far as the 1,200 per person. But they're saying that when it comes to the unemployment, it may be cut down to 200 per week, which, you know, for me, all this is amazing. I can definitely see how this really sucks for like a full-fledged family. Like me, I'm single AF, so everything that, I'm getting, I'm using to build up my business to, get me through, that way there's a level of, in a weird way, there's a level of security in this, that, stability that I've gotten with a lot of this stuff that, you know, just haven't been able to before. And it's been helping me think a little bit clearly, you know, um, which I'm totally 100% grateful and thankful for. But if you want to find out, a couple of things here, unemployment, there is. a gazillion of people who call every day. The best advice that I was told was literally to keep on going because keep trying to get a hold of someone, especially because once you are approved, it is well worth it. So I mean, best times that I've been hearing to go ahead and give them a call, especially here in Texas. I don't know how it is everywhere, but before 3 p.m., um, there's times where you're going to be waiting on there for a couple of hours and then hang up. There's a lot of that, but it's like continue going. Also, ask questions in a different way when you do hear, so when you do get a hold of somebody, because the one thing that I experienced was not everybody knows everything that works there. So you're going to get someone that may be a little bit more seasoned or someone who's gotten a little bit more information, and so sometimes you'll hear one thing and then get a hold of someone and they're just like, oh, actually, you needed to do this, this, and this. So with me, it wasn't until I got a hold of one lady and she was just like, oh, well, you had to put in an appeal. And I was just like, oh, well, shit, why didn't anybody, tell me, thank you, so the appeals are great. Um, what else? What else? Um, Yeah, stay on it. Like really, really stay on it. Um, yeah, so I mean that's what's going on as far as with the unemployment and the stimulus check. So the unemployment, the benefits instead of the extra 600, it may be cut down to 200, so like if you were getting like the max benefits of like, I don't know, 600 for unemployment and then 600 for the extra 600, you're getting like 1200 a week, which now if you're getting the max unemployment of 600, and then with this 200 per week, that's 800 per week, which is still a lot. Like, and again, I know that being a single male, no children, I know that my particular situation is different. But the one thing that I do want to dive into and why, I bring up a lot of this stuff is because, the ancestors are not playing. Like this is a come up time in the weirdest way, So being able to think smart about how to reinvest this money for building some type of structure within this particular time, because we don't know how much more of this is going to go down, or whether or not it's going to get worse or it's going to get better. What is going to be, we don't know. So because of that, it makes it really difficult for planning on the outside, which I personally pivoted and was just all like, well, I'm gonna hold off on events pretty much for the rest of the year, even small events, because there was just like I didn't want to be trying to promote this event and then the day of be like, or the day before be like, well, the rising cases, so I'm just not even wanting to deal with that. So everything that I've been pushing has been more online, and I can't stand Facebook because they got me blocked for 30 days because of I went against the policy with posting my CBD products. And there's just several things that I find very annoying, but I feel like it's causing me to find a solution that isn't just for me. I feel like that several people are running into these little issues during a time where really like blocked for 30 days on Facebook, where I can't make any posts or stories or anything like that, and I have businesses on there. Yeah, no, it's very annoying. Um So yeah, that's as far as the unemployment and stimulus check. So they don't know when they're going to be sending out the next round, being that basically if you got it the first time, you're getting it again, and now that it should be a lot more smoother as far as the getting them out. The only thing is that there's going to be like this little recess come either the end of July or first week of August, and then so the question then comes whether or not it gets put into law so that way it could be approved before the recess, which would be great. Another thing that we're seeing, because I'm in Texas and I thought that this was very, very interesting, Sony's wearable air conditioner. So it's a little gadget and it's about the size of the cell phone, and they even have like this cool little like suit that you have with it. With me personally, like I just like the little a handheld AC. Like that's dope. So if you check out theverge.com, this was posted on the 22nd, so it's not too far away. Definitely check that out. I thought that that was really cool. I'm curious to try that out here in Texas. This person was trying it in Japan, where they have some awful summers. I mean, when me and my homeboy Kenyo went out there for our tour, we went in March, so like that was probably the best time. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't hot and humid. Like it was pretty great. So I'm curious to try that. What are y'all's thoughts on getting more innovative when it comes to personal cooling. That isn't like whack and stuff like that. You gotta wear like some big hazmat suit or anything like that. There's something, and doesn't like hit you with like a spritz that leaves you soaked or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I think people are getting very innovative. I'm curious to find out more when it comes to that. Now, this is another thing that I wanted to dive deep into. Was the earliest evidence for humans in America. So they have found these tools that puts and these were in Mexico. This was from BBC.com. Um, they're finding these tools, and some people are debating it because they're saying um, natural, phenomenon could have made this into where it appears to look like a tool. But I mean, look, we why they want to make us feel like we have not been on this earth for that much longer than a couple of thousand years is is baffling to me, honestly. I get on the level as far as trying to keep people thinking a certain narrative, but if that was the case, then why do you have archaeologists? Because they're going to find some shit. Like the one thing that I've seen over and over and over and over and over again when it comes to um, these findings and it comes to nature and different things like that, you know, the people during their time, as much as they wanted to try to erase something, nature's done a great job of naturally like storing some stuff for you to never see again for a couple of thousand years, and then you're just all like, oh snap. And I believe that a lot of this is going on now. Basically, you have a bunch of people, a bunch of scholars that puts the amount of time, this far back and different things like that. Because what it does is it forces people to open up their eyes to the reality of the human race. which is that even though we've been oppressed and our s- several aspects about ourselves, has been suppressed. Um, Even when it comes to certain, and this isn't just on the, I mean, it may get super deep, but this isn't just on the, oh, they're slaves and different things like that. I'm talking about physical functionality on your body, parts of your body inside or out that literally goes dormant because of not using it anymore. And now some of those things have to deal with cognitive processing, which is well, I'm tying in everything here. I hope you see like a little trail that I'm doing with all this stuff. Um, there, when I think about as far as what people are dealing with right now, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of anxiousness, which is why I push CBD the way that I do. Because when I do smoke it consistently, I'm not saying all my troubles are put away, but it does get me to a point of where I can think of things clearly. I can sit with the now and not be feeling like the whole world is crumbling down. I can sleep, without tossing and turning. Again, when I consistently use it. If I happen to go, without, a couple of days or something like that, I feel the difference because it's we have the endocannabinoid system within us. A lot of this stuff is the what the CBD helps us regulate what's already inside of us. So, with that being said, the work on the Chiquihuite cave. This is a high altitude rock shelter in central Mexico. They found this tools and stating that people were living there 33,000 years ago. That's twice the widely accepted age for the earliest settlement in the Americas. That is wild. Because here's the thing. A lot of what we hear is different than what is being uncovered. And when I say that, there's this weird thing that goes around that's popular within science, which is like we went from caveman to, this process of, where we're at now. And just from what I've been seeing in general, just what I've been doing research and looking at since I was a little kid, there seems to always be, at the same time, a hunter gatherer civilization, an advanced civilization as well. It's almost simultaneous to each other. Like, we even still see that to this day. So, why the constant making of a particular race or races seem less than what they are? It's crazy, but I'm seeing the effects that are going on as far as right now with all of the unrest that we have, civil unrest, different things like that. So, speaking of civil unrest, so the St. Louis couple waved guns at protesters, face charges. Now, according to CNN, the Missouri couple was seen in a viral video brandishing guns at protesters outside their mansion has been charged, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney said Monday. Patricia and Mark McCloskey are charged with unlawful use of a weapon, a Class E felony, according to the complaint. It is illegal to wave weapons in a threatening manner at those participating in non-violent protests. So while we're fortunate this situation did not escalate into deadly force, this type of conduct is unacceptable in St. Louis. So Circuit Attorney General Attorney Kimberly Gardner said in the statement. Now, what's interesting about this is that the governor, Mike Parson, and the Missouri Attorney General, Eric Schmidt, swiftly filed a brief in the case to have it dismissed. Now, they're calling this outrageous. Now, when you look at this is what goes on. So in a gated community in St. Louis, a group of all different colored people, a group goes into a gated neighborhood to go to the where were they going to? They were going to either the mayor's or someone. I have to double check, but look it up. Look it up. St. Louis couple charged waving guns at protesters. So these people were peacefully protesting. They're not even on these people's property, and you literally see this screenshot, literally of this woman pointing her gun and like I'm gonna shoot you type of like this isn't even made up. The way that they acted for a non-peaceful protest was ridiculous. And people who are within the walls of you know, their castle, their gated community are completely removed from their reality. These are the type of people who watch Fox and CNN and they see protests and they see rioting, they see looting, they see, all of these different things. So even if I wanted to, be on the side of them, let's just say I was playing devil's advocate, oh, there's a protest going on. I'm used to seeing that anytime that these protests go on, that there's looting and all this other stuff that are going on. So let me go out there and, me and my wife, Bonnie and Clyde, this joint and protect our stuff. But it's retarded. It's retarded because it's not an excuse. It's 2020. If you want to believe in whatever fantasy land that you're living in, that you don't have to deal with reality, this right here was a prime example of how far from reality these people are, and they're definitely not the only ones. But you have children, you have people who are they're not even worried about you. You made the attention on you by being a bigot. Like it's so like the more and more that I see this and they're trying to say, well, like they're trying to state that the castle doctrine that gives Missourians broad rights and protected property and live lives in his move to dismiss the case. Look, y'all were out of line. Y'all know that y'all was out of line. There's no like you would think like these people like the way that they literally look like they're fearing for their lives. But for what? These people aren't even like they're not even like really the protesters ain't even worried about them. They inserted themselves. This is broad daylight. They weren't even worried about you and they were literally headed somewhere else. It's people are tired of it. I hope they get charged. I really, really do because they're both lawyers and different things like that. Even someone stated in an article that I read regarding this that even the house that they live in, they won from like a case or whatever. So it's just all like, man, y'all get out of here. Y'all ridiculous. Y'all ridiculous. Y'all need to be charged. All right, so the last thing that I want to bring up is as far as the Kanye West ordeal. Um, there's several other things. I just felt like this is the icing on the cake to be able to get things tie things up in a nice little bow. So Kanye West is has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And, Kanye went on a stream of just voicing how he feels. Dave Chappelle came through, I heard it, the little clip from it on the Breakfast Club. Uh, Look, I'm not making excuses for anyone, but I will say this. When I think about people like Kanye, when I think about people like Nick Cannon, when I think about even people like Jay-Z, we're literally watching these young men and these men in general mature before our eyes. You can hear it in the music. You can hear it in the way that they walk, in the way that they do things. I'm not, again, I'm not using this as an excuse, but I will say that, I'm just going to be turning 30. A lot of these people are over 40, going to 40, 50s. And, you hear there's a particular African way of doing things in certain places where you couldn't even get married to after you're 40 just because the maturity needed for it. Now, when I look at that, you know, Kim Kardashian had, shared a message about, Kanye, saying, as many of you know, Kanye has bipolar disorder. Anyone who has this or has a loved one in their life who does knows how incredibly complicated and painful it is to understand. And so several of the posts that Kanye did was about Kim and her mother. And, they even stated at one point about him wanting to get a divorce. You know, Look, I can't tell anyone how they should have their marriage or anything like that, but I do see some parallels between Kim and Kanye and Will and Jada's situation, only as far as the fact of we're looking at two power couples. We're also looking at the fact that this is a strange time for anybody, and the reason why it's important to be gentle with yourself during this time is and your loved ones is because, the worst thing that we can do right now is to separate, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. I feel like there's too many other factors at play than the actual issues of the relationship. I think that it is a beautiful time. And when we look at Will and Jada's situation, that was literally a situation that happened years ago that's just getting brought back up to light. You know, I don't know what people's expectations are when they're looking at celebrities or when they're even looking at themselves. I get that a lot of this stuff is entertaining, quote unquote, but there's a level of entertainment that you watch that you start to become, or it starts to influence the way that you think or do things. It happens so incognito that you don't even realize it. And next thing you know, you're just like, well, why do I, all of a sudden act like this or this, and this? And you don't even realize that you're acting like a character. And this is not to say the character is good or bad or any of that stuff. That doesn't matter. I feel like during this time, and the reason why I bring all that up is to mainly say, use CBD. Not really, but kind of. Uh, the reason why I bring all this up is because the one thing that I'm seeing a pattern between all of this stuff is anxiety. It really is. Anxiety and stress. And when I think about it, a lot of this stuff was already there, especially when it comes to America. And so this is what is a trip about as far as the particular law that prohibits as far as smokable hemp. You know, people use CBD in whichever way. But if you're going to start nitpicking on, okay, we got this plan, and now we're gonna say we could only use this part of the plan, and this part of the plan, and this part of the plan, it it's ridiculous. You know, like and it boils down to as far as how you treat as far as a human. It's wild that we have plants outlawed, but then it's just all like, oh, well, we got humans outlawed as well. Like, it just starts like asking a big question on, oh, well, dang, maybe we might not be able to get this stuff to where it needs to be until we fix the issue with, the laws and its people, especially here in the United States. But, I several things that I see that are consistent is the fact that there is trouble sleeping, stress and anxiety, and time management. So I want to dive more deeper into those particular subjects in another podcast, but I did just want to get my insight on several key things that were happening this week. Nice little almost 45-minute podcast. I'm going to edit this down and, do all that jazz. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast if you're listening. If you're watching, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I realize you can drop little voice memos on this joint too. That's really dope. So yeah, you can drop some comments. You can at on Instagram, graffiti the mind sun SON. Of course, check out the website dabtro.com/shop, and even just dabtro.com. Amazing articles, different things to make you think, any whatever value I can bring to you. Um, what else? Recent book I recently finished. There's like the acknowledgement or whatever at the end of it. But common book, One Day It All Makes Sense, that kind of weaved in a lot of what I'm dealing with as a current rapper. Wait, excuse me. Anyways, yo, enjoy your Friday. Miss Composition MC that writes fiction. Peace.